Okay, yeah. So bands that have come through so far is going to be the Vex, Yasuo, and Yasuo, Vex, Fresh, as well as the Kindred on the blue side. We've got a Warwick ban, an Akshan ban, and a Samira ban on the red side with Caitlyn first pick. Caitlyn first pick means there is going to be quite a bit of lane priority for CBS with a set counter, or blind for the top lane. It is a pick that they play a lot. Looks like it's also going to be the Syndra here mid lane. Interesting to see two solo laners blinded. Let's just see if they do lock in the Syndra here. Yeah, it is going to be the Syndra
on their team, as well as the set's just, that's his one trick, it looks like, as well. So they just want to get their comfort out of the way instead of being forced something awkward.
Bit weird of them to pick it so early, though, because it just leads themselves to, like, really, really huge counter picks as well. I guess they're taking sort of, like, comfort, and they're just confident enough in the matchup. I would have liked to see their bot lane come out, because we've already seen the Caitlyn picked up. Just so they can sort of like play a good matchup and then hide their solo lanes for later, but I guess they didn't want to get any bans in the way.
It's really setting up blue side for just 3 counter pick lanes, and it's going to be really rough to deal with, but if their comfort, pulls out on top, they might be fine.
Yeah. I mean, comfort above all else when you going into a lot of games. We are going to see the Udyr picked up here for CBS as well. Very, very, very strong pick in the jungle right now. It will just roll over pretty much everything. Seraphine here to round out on the blue side. Incredibly strong lane to have the Seraphine and Caitlyn lane. It pretty much wins against everything. Ooh. Just gonna change the audio a little bit. So hopefully everything's all good now. And we are going to see the Sivir to round out the first phase of picks for placeholder. It does get a bit dominated in the lane, but later on for the team fights it has a lot more utility and a lot more usefulness. It's more of a scaling pick. We are going to see the Yone ban come through as the first ban on the second rotation, probably just to take away one of the counter picks out of mid or top, because it can be flexed into both. Just gives the Syndra a little bit more safety, as well as the Sivir, because Yone can be incredibly difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and as well as they want to kind of be avoiding dive right now because they're going to be pushed under a lot early game, but their wave clear does help them keep things out of turret, which could help, shut down Caitlyn's siege late game and mid game, where she's going to be trying to hit all those turrets as fast as she can and end out the game. Yeah,
absolutely. We are going to see a Morgana ban against the Caitlyn Seraphine. It's a pick that I'm not too keen on. Said as much in the last series as well. Morgana's not a champion that I'm a fan of. I think it loses pretty much every single lane. But we are going to see the Mordekaiser and the Amumu's to round it out, just taken away from the respective champion pools of the top and the jungle of each side, just to make sure that they don't get any more comfort picks. I think Mordekaiser is also a decent matchup into the set as well. Does help you just sort of like shove the wave out, and it can duel the separate handily.
The front line that they currently have, as well as, now that they pick Sejuani, it kind of shows that, Sejuani kind of gets removed from a fight, and she's such a strong front line to keep them off their back line. But with Mordekaiser out, she's safe to stay there because nothing can remove her from the game.
Yeah, Sejuani is also just a great engage tool because it's something they're lacking so far. They do have a decent amount of CC, however, they are going to need those engage tools to be able to pick the fights. It looks like we might see a Lux mid into the Syndra. It's an incredibly safe lane. I don't think we're really going to be seeing any kills unless junglers get involved.
We're seeing last pick support for red side, though, so hopefully they pull off something that really rounds out the comp and helps them, deal with all this poke that they're going to be dealing with, with Lux, Seraphine, and Caitlyn hitting you with so much damage from so far away. One stray root can just delete anyone from your team.
We might actually be seeing the Jax here as well, which would give them split push threat. It doesn't work too well with the comp, but the idea might be so they can just sort of like siege as 4 against a turret and keep everyone at range, try and keep the engage at bay while Jax just does his thing on the side lane.
It definitely helps that they've, been able to draft so many counters that they can kind of get away with something a bit more, aggressive in each lane instead of having to find just that one way to go as a full mold.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what we see here for the support. Is going to be the Braum. Not too keen on it. Braum will get bullied, or the Braum Sivir together will get bullied a lot in this lane. And there's not too much hard engage. It's not like the composition of CBS is going to be running into placeholder. It does take a lot of value away from the Braum when people aren't just running into him, because it means he can't really get many autos off, just to sort of like stack that passive up. I don't think there's going to be a lot of utility with the pick, but we'll see how it works out, because Braum can always be an incredibly strong pick when he starts getting that passive roll in.
It does help, but it also just leaves the concern of, they have so much range on top of them. Braum's protecting them, but, Sivir's not going to be able to turn that around easily because, Lux, Caitlyn, Seraphine, they're all just hitting her from way farther than she can get on them. And even then with Jax too as well, Jax is going to be able to just tank a lot of damage from Sivir with that dodge.
Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult game here to play for the Sivir. She's playing into so much range. A lot of it is double her auto attack range as well, so it's going to be difficult for her to get into fights. She does have the Braum obviously to help sort of peel some of that away. Syndra's got her long range stun, but it is a bit of a worry for placeholder to have such a relatively low range composition into one that's got so much more range than them. They will have to set up for their engage as well, just to make sure they can get onto the back line of CBS.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this plays out. We've got, 2 minutes 30 seconds on our delay, but I definitely feel like, the early laning is going to come out a lot. There's going to be a lot of prio on blue side, and just see how much they can capitalize on that. Because the game does get late enough. Syndra and Sivir can kind of mow through some people. Syndra's burst can help, delete out Caitlyn and any of the support mage enchanters that they have on their team. And Sivir as well will just start making waves that just can't get them under because, Udyr and Jax do have some decent dive, but if it gets to the point where just waves keep staying out, Sivir can kind of turn the game around in her favor, but they're going to have to get to a pretty late state in the game for that to happen.
Yeah, for sure. The thing that I'm going to be looking out for here for CBS is if they're going to leverage their early game strengths, especially with the Lux Caitlyn bot lane. Sorry, it's Seraphine mid. With the Lux Caitlyn bot lane, they have like a massive damage and range advantage. I think what we are going to see is a huge lead sort of like in the bot lane, and they're going to need to translate that into having control of the bot side of the map, translate it into dragons, get in plates, and try and snowball their lead from there. Because once you do that, the amount of zone control that Caitlyn Lux actually gives you around the map can set you up for objectives really well.
Yeah, and it also just can come down to, we're dealing with teams that, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, a lot of things that can go right, and it might just come down to, maybe securing that set early, given the comfort picks might just play out because they might just be better at their character, and that's all that they need.
Yeah, that's what a lot of games will end up coming down to, is just who knows their champion better and who knows what, or sort of like what limits to test, where they can and can't find engages, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see, especially with like all of the engage that comes from like Sejuani set as well. That's going to be potentially really dangerous for a Caitlyn Lux and Seraphine backline, because there's not really too much peel unless they self-peel for themselves.
Yeah, if you see Udyr or Jax, they get picked off in a bad engage, that does leave, their backline, very open. They only have, roots to play with at that point, and they can only, run away in a straight direction. So, if they get that pick off, Sejuani's set are just going to be looking to get right on top of them and just melt that team from behind.
Yeah, the other thing that I think placeholder will look to have to do is try and get this both the set and the Sejuani onto flanks to sort of like get their engages. Because if they're just going to be sort of starting the fights front to back with the Udyr Jax there, they're not really going to be able to land the engage and the crowd control that they need to get onto the back line of CBS. So it will be interesting to see if they can get those flanks off and try and start the fights on their own terms.
It also could be dangerous if Jax, splits too much, because that does give Set more of an option to just use Udyr to engage on that back line, because when they only have one frontliner and they shove it into the back, that does give Sivir a lot more targets to hit, Syndra space to move in, and as well as you now have a Set on top of your squishies, that W can do a lot of damage if placed correctly.
For sure. Yeah, that Sivir will absolutely rip through a lot of these team fights, and Seraphine, Caitlyn and Lux are all incredibly squishy. They will die to those Ws, or they will lose a lot of health. They will have to be careful for that, and it means that the Sivir will have to get shut down.
Looking like 5 points for both teams. Or 5 point for red side, 4 point for blue.
Yeah, we are just seeing sort of like the standard defensive lines that we have seen from a lot of the teams. It seems like a pretty standard thing, just having the teams do this sort of like 5-point defensive start. We haven't seen many invades or level 1s really at all throughout the tournament. I don't recall seeing any at the very least.
Yeah, not too many early Gaijin champions I've seen on a lot of the teams as well, so that might be a factor that's going for it. But definitely this game, like, invading a Brahm's one of the riskiest things you can ever do. That passive will do a lot of work level 1. But as well as, like, you do have, Lux and Caitlyn range to play with level 1 as well. It's really hard to deal with that on the other side.
Well, that is a Sivir that should probably have backed, but it looks like they're just going to go into lane with the health disadvantage, which is actually going to be quite costly, especially against a lane with so much poke.
Yeah, every bit of health counts because you want to not have to be forced to back as early as you can because you will be forced at some point into a Caitlyn Lux.
I am enjoying the choices coming out here for the Braum though, having the the Guardian just getting procced there actually on the wave. Some more.
Also getting a lot of early damage out from Caitlyn here. They're harassing them on the buff, getting a little more health on top of that, which is even worse for red side bot lane.
I do wonder if Placeholder are going to think that the Udyr is starting on the top side rather than just the bot side, as they currently are. Just because they went up there and poked them on the blue buff. It might be interesting.
It really hides where Udyr's pathing, and it could be anyone's game. And it just depends on, is red side worried about that? Are they expecting Udyr to, show up bot in 330, or are they going to come top anyway? Like, you'll see in 99% of your solo queue games, especially at this rank.
Yeah, there's also just like the poke that's now going to come out from the Lux Caitlyn, especially with all that health advantage that I've gained, is just going to be absolutely massive. This lane really is brutal. And I think what you'll also see from this is just how difficult it is for Braum and Sivir to be able to actually play this lane, especially because you don't have much range at all, if any.
Yeah, they're forced very far back off the wave, but they did push, that second wave a little too fast. It's going to get caught kind of awkwardly in front of turret. Not exactly where you want it to be on Caitlyn, but with the health advantage that they've gained, it's not really that big of a deal for them.
Yeah, I think what's also going to help is they know that they started on the bot side because they had vision of it, so they know that Sejuani's pathing top. They know there's no risk of a gank whatsoever.
We did see, two lanes on blue side did get, their prio. CBS was able to, push 2 lanes in. Not much to do off of Udyr padding top side.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, first kill off pick on the Braum. There's the Kate Lux under turret. Even though you've got that turret protecting you, you just get poked out of lane. And that health that was lost at the beginning does not help their case.
Does not at all. This is going to be incredibly difficult for Sivir Braum to play. There's another trap that hits there as well. Just binding into trap, standard Kate Lux combo. There's a reason it keeps getting played. It's because it's unbelievably strong. There's a gank in the mid lane, however.
Camera's going to keep us bot for a minute, though. Ooh,
Sivir
gets picked, and then we see the mid play. Ooh, turret
that
picks up Sejuani.
Kill.
Seraphine getting a little bit of gold that she otherwise would not have gotten. Flash forced out on the Syndra by Udyr's gank. That's a good resource for Seraphine. A gank turned really well in her favor.
Don't you love the directed camera sometimes? Ooh! That could have been very bad. At the very least, that is a flash out of the set. There is going to be a TP back from Jax, but that could be risky because the warder's just died in the river.
We've got Udyr position topside as well. If Set doesn't back off here, he could be in a dicey situation, but looks like he's just going to take the recall.
Be interesting to see if he TP's
no,
back.
He's staying to fight.
He's been baited by the top
Udyr pathing
lane
up,
curse.
his W is building up, but does he have the damage to pick anyone out here? He's just trying to walk. W misses Jax. Jax hops behind it, and that's a pick for CBS.
This looks like a bit of a snowball. The Jax has got rolling. There's 2 kills already on the Caitlyn, 10 farm up. They've also got a plate in the bot lane already as well.
As well as, Seraphine got that pick on Sejuani as well as flash it down Sinjin. There's no prio that can really be won anywhere right now for Placeholder.
Yeah, the Sejuani's going to have to do a lot to try and bail Placeholder out of this early game.
We do see the crash bot lane. They did see Udyr top lane. They might look to take a dragon here and get something for these first few minutes of the game. They do hold a lot of risk, though, because, if Caitlyn and Lux figure out what they're doing, they'll be poked off that dragon.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for them to sort of like fight for any early dragons whatsoever. Not only do they have the range advantage, they've now got item advantage. It's easier for them to push the waves in. Generally, it's just going to be really, really, really difficult to Placeholder just to play around the spot side. You can already see it here with Sivir getting zoned off.
Once again, from draft below, you got to keep your solo lanes hidden as long as you can. You give up too much information on your comp, and you just give too many lanes that kind of be given up because, you got 2 picks bot lane, you got jungle, all those roles just are a lot safer to pick off early.
Yeah, it's always really valuable to sort of like hide your solo lanes till the end, because there's so many safe bot lanes that you can pick right now that either go even or lose gracefully. It's a very, very safe pick just to hide everything else.
Yeah, Lux zoning off Braum and Sivir from this wave, as they should. You know, they're losing little bits of XP here and there, and they're just kind of slowly growing that lead a little bit more and more.
I would be interested to see how much XP they actually end up losing for getting zoned off here, because they have had to play quite far back from when the lane has started.
So every little bit counts, especially when, you know, those early plays went wrong and they got those picks under turret.
The only saving grace is going to be Dragon Gun down for the Udyr as well.
Yeah, pick up. Sejuani's looking to do something here, but their bot lane's shoved in, so she just has to back off, even with Syndra's rotation. Yeah,
there's no rotation that can be made there whatsoever from the bottom lane, just because they're getting shoved in so hard. And if they were to rotate, they'd either lose a tower plate or just lose multiple waves, loads of XP. They'd just go down even further than they currently are. It's just
not a fun situation for Sejuani to be in, because, you know, she likes to gank a lot, but it's just nothing to go for.
Yeah, it's without having like any lanes that have got priority, you've got no option of a tower dive. The Udyr is always going to beat you in a skirmish. It's just a bit of a draft iffy in the bottom from sort of like game one.
Oh, we got the Braum Hugh going off on Caitlyn. We got Sejuani looking to move in position. They are looking up. They're trying to get out on them, but the Lux root lands, and that engage is going to start looking really, really bad. Jordan losing half her health. Jack's getting the engage on top lane on set. Does he get the solo dive? The E tries to catch him, but, you know, W's on cooldown. He cannot turn that fight.
Looks like W was already used, he knew it, and then went in for it. Oh my god, that's a flash!
Ooh, re-engaging on the bot lane, but now the other jungler has arrived, and Sejuani's on her Gromp. No one gets picked, but resources are down once again, and it's back in Caitlyn and Lux's favor.
Clean Caitlyn mechanics as well there with the flash E-auto afterwards. A lot of damage went down, just didn't translate into a kill like they wanted.
Yeah, Caitlyn damage does catch you off surprise, or catches you by surprise sometimes, because, you know, she's an ADC. They're damage over time characters, but, you know, her E into Q and then her headshot damage, it can delete a target in just a second.
Yeah, one of the best ways to actually play Caitlyn in a late game is to just stack up your headshot damage, wait for your rapid fire cannon to come up, and just Gale Force auto someone. You can pretty much take them out of the next fight. They will either have to lifesteal or they'll base, depending on who you hit.
You'll see a lot of Caitlyn's too, just, you know, ult a random target just to get some extra damage on, so that, you know, they can't look for an engage, or they just, you know, it's a character that doesn't have any sustain. If that damage doesn't go back, it just stays there the rest of the game until they back.
Yeah. What we are seeing as well, just from this Caitlyn Lux lane, is literally double the CS lead on the AD carries. Plate has gone down, 2 kills over. There is going to be an absolutely massive gold differential. And it is going to translate into early dragons. It will translate into mid pressure when support starts roaming. Overall, it's just looking like a really, really difficult game, especially with a 3.5k gold lead already.
Yeah, and with not even that many kills on the board, just that small lead just gets bigger and bigger, because how do you thin that gap when they just keep getting it more and more and you can't get anything back in your own? Braum looking to get an engage on Caitlyn while she's solo, but wasn't able to get anything. She was able to back off. He trades between Jax and Set, kind of going back and forth, you know, even health in either or. But Jax is keeping Set off the wave.
Yeah, this Set is totally zoned out. There's no W. He's going to force Flash out because there's no W left to save him.
Yeah, it's really awkward just, you know, when you get caught in those fights with Set, when your W's down, you just lose
That's
so much pressure that you have on the target. Braum picked out by the root, trying to protect his ADC, but definitely it's just not much you can do. That damage is just way too much to deal with, and, you know, the shield might help alleviate some poke, but you're still taking that damage.
I think what we've seen from this game already, as well as some of the other games that have been played in the tournament, is just how incredibly important it is to have this top lane priority.
Yeah, the game Mike casted yesterday, we had seen, you know, Caitlyn was picked, but there just was no focus on that lane. And she wasn't able to get much of a lead. And, you know, Caitlyn behind is a lot weaker than a lot of other ADCs.
Yeah. We did just see the attempt on the steal there by the Sejuani, but missed on the smite. Means that Udyr is going to pick it up. Could also translate into some more plates and even more of a lead for the Jax.
Yeah, we see Jax and Udyr positioning top lane. They might be looking to use the objective they just secured to try to, you know, take out Set's turn and open up the map for Jax as well. Set's just kind of, you know, trying to fish for the E, gets a hit, gets a, you know, turret shot in Jax, but he shrugs off that damage like it's nothing.
I think I would have liked to see the Udyr reset and then maybe place it bot lane. Just because I think there's more value in getting your Caitlyn ahead than there is the Jax ahead early. Just because you're going to look to sort of like siege on the mid lane turret. Jax isn't going to be able to let you do that, Caitlyn will.
Yeah, you want to open bot and you want to get the rotation to mid. It's common that, you know, you do want to get your split pusher, you know, that extra gold lead, but it's definitely a Caitlyn-focused game. So, you know, while it does help to get Jax a little bit, it definitely could be better used.
This could be another kill. Yep.
Ooh, that W comes out, able to pick it. Very low health. Is killed by the turret. Sejuani picking up that kill.
Yeah, Smite doing just that little bit of extra damage just to tick over the remaining turret hit.
Ooh, Lux catches Braum with another root. He takes half his health. It's able to back out, but definitely, you know, that's going to make him a lot more vulnerable for the next engage. Super ult also coming out. Lux flashing for the Q, and she walks into the Kate trap. That is a... Braum blocking the shot. Ooh, Lux gets the passive proc on her auto and is able to pick off that Sivir.
Yeah, Ignite auto is enough there to finish from the Lux. This is just an absolute stomp so far.
There was some ability canceling there, so I thought Sivir was going to die a little earlier, but she did live a little longer than anticipated, but she still got picked off by such an impressive lane.
Yeah, it's also going to look to be more turrets going down as well for the Caitlyn. This gold lead is going to be absolutely massive.
Yeah, no, Braum trying to catch some XP there as well, but he just picked out a turret. He has to go back home, but Lux is not going to let him back, which is going to leave Sivir even more uncomfortable.
Yeah, what I would like to see from the Braum here is if on his next reset is just to like leave bot lane alone, because even if he's in the lane, I don't think there's going to be much value in having there, and just go mid and try and get a kill mid. You've got a Syndra stun and you can set it up with the Braum passive. You've got Syndra ult, which does far too much damage, and just try and get something elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, really just playing bot. I mean, Sivir's going to be collecting the waves either way, and just sitting there with them. You know, you're getting XP with her, but you're not really getting anything done when you really want to be influencing the game as much
Syndra's
as you
isolated.
can.
She will have to flash that. There's no one there to help her either. Just trying to clear vision in the river.
Syndra forced to flash as well. Just resources are never in the favor of placeholder here. And Jax continues to zone Zed off the wave. That's a big W, but now the R to pull him towards the turret. But even then, Jax just, you know, he gets his auto resets. It's just death.
Just death.
You'll see that with Bork. It is such a strong power spike on Jax.
Yeah, it does an unfair amount of damage. It also just helps chase people down as well with the movement speed it gives.
Yeah, even though they added 10 seconds to that cooldown, you know, that first proc is all you need a lot of the time.
It looks like it might also just be a turret. There's no one there to answer it. That's going to be first turret of the game and a huge lead for this Jax. This Jax is going to be completely unstoppable. And on the other side of the map, they get a dragon as well. They are winning across the board. The only lane even slightly even is the mid lane.
So Sejuani picked off by this root, the E going in. Braum trying to mitigate this damage, but she is going to be picked by this Caitlyn. And it looks like they back up, but we got another root from Lux. Caitlyn flashing for the E. Getting a little bit of damage off on Sivir. But the wave is not there for a dive.
I think the Caitlyn's a little bit too eager for a highlight play there. There's no way that she would have been able to finish that health off. Either way, it's sort of... it pokes the Sivir down a little bit more, makes it harder for them to actually...
You see Syndra trying to help out her allies here, but she's getting hit by this damage, trying to delete the Lux. But Caitlyn is able to get her over the wall.
Yeah, you can see the Lux blocking a lot of damage with her W there. Just felt like the Syndra couldn't really do anything in that situation. As soon as she committed to that play, it was over.
It's quite a defeating situation when, you know, the support's doing more damage than your mid laner in terms of the burst category.
We've all known the feeling. We've either lived through it or we've seen it on our team. And either way, it's incredibly demoralizing.
Even more so with, you know, how the Lux is building right now. She's building more of a Enchanter-focused item set instead of full Luden's damage. We do see that pick once again on Sivir with the root and Lux ult taking her out once again. This turret should fall here.
Small mistake there as well with the Braum flashing to get away. Ends up actually costing the Sivir their life. Didn't block the Caitlyn auto attack that came through. Now he's going to be turret. Sivir's not there to clear the wave.
Hopefully we should see a rotation to mid lane with Caitlyn now. They might want to get this turret off, open up more of the map for their team, and be able to take full control of these objectives the rest of the game.
Yeah, you can see the
we do see Seraphine running mid as well, so unless they're planning to siege it as a team, we are seeing, you know, full rotation towards mid lane. Udyr getting this full ult, all that burn damage just melting through Syndra. The team's walking over to help her, but she is already picked by that point, and Udyr is able to get out just fine.
You can see as well that Jax has got a freeze in the top lane right now. They've frozen it, not any sort of like quite close to their turret. Thank you, director camera, you knew it. And yeah, you're just seeing that Set has nothing that he can possibly do on the map. He can't walk up to that wave or he'll die or have to burn his flash. He's just really good timing off of XP.
It's really good timing for Jax Priest too, because nothing's to fight for in the map right now besides the mid turret. So there's no reason to be pushing in these waves and giving them more XP when there's nothing to fight for with that pressure from the wave.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a smart play with the lane that I've got. And again, we saw what was mentioned earlier, the Caitlyn just going into the mid lane and just getting his turret down. That's a lot.
And even though Sejuani has all this tank and engage, she has nothing to use it with. There's no damage to follow her up. She's just taken half her health just from Caitlyn autos alone.
Yeah, I think for placeholder, this is a case of like either try and hold out or just start talking about what you want to go with in the next game. It's going to be another binding.
Yeah, there's the Lux root over the wall, half their health going down. And we can see placeholder just grouping wherever they can, trying to get those numbers advantages, but it's just they're zoned out by everything. They can't go anywhere, the vision's just everywhere. Their team just knows when they're coming and is able to get out safely.
Yeah, again,
should see mid-turret falling here to Udyr and Caitlyn.
Yeah.
More of the map opened up for CBS.
That's all 3 outer towers gone. You can see that objective bounties have come online for placeholder. Oh wow, they're just getting everything stolen from them as well.
They can't even get their own jungle camps to farm, which is going to put jungle even farther behind. There's more gold on the board for CBS.
Yeah, with all the range that they've got as well, this is going to be an incredibly oppressive closeout. You can see here, Lux
get another root over the wall, hitting 2 of them. Double ult from CBS,
really
chipping out all that damage.
Really, really well played from Lux there. Just sort of
Rift coming out as well to just siege more of the space while Jax is pulling set to the top lane. Another root caught by Lux. They're looking to dive the Sejuani. She might be a tank, but she just cannot deal with that damage.
There's a lot of headshot damage coming out from the Caitlyn already, and she's still got so much gold to back on.
This is where I go onto Reddit as a tank man and complain about being killed under turret as a tank. It just feels so defeating, but that much damage on the board, that much gold of a difference. Not much you can do. Ooh, Udyr with the unstoppable on the set ult, just denying him any, fight with that ult, trying to pull him out of position.
17-23, middle inhibitor goes down.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
14,
taking that mid hit might be a little too early though, because they don't have any way to fully end out the game yet. They are very far ahead, but that does give Sivir a lane to kind of freely farm for a while.
It does, but at the same time, there's so much range on this CBS composition that they might be able to just close out the game while they've got the mid pressure, because there needs to be someone there to answer it, and if it's a Sivir answering it, she can't clear the waves on the other side lanes.
Yeah, as long as they start grouping the side lanes, they can abuse
this
the
could be a kill
well.
though.
But if not, ooh, that's a pickoff. Getting Lux finally, a shutdown going towards placeholder. They finally found something to take, and they're trying to fight this Caitlyn even more. Caitlyn looking to get some damage on that Syndra, but can't reach her anymore. Syndra playing just far enough back. Ooh, Udyr getting picked out, and Caitlyn getting picked out as well. We have Jax also being held by set top lane. That's a lot of gold back towards the placeholder. You don't want to be seeing those resources going back towards that team, because that is giving them something to fight for.
And that is a whole 1,000 gold going straight into the Sivir's pocket as well. The best member you could possibly have it on. Because she is the member that is going to be stalling out this game. Jack's just walking by and totally
And even though Seraphine's trying to stall this dragon, they also do get this dragon most likely, and they should be able to get a bounty from that as well. So that will give a lot more gold to the team. They are still down 10k at the moment, but that does help thin that gap a little more than it used to be.
Yeah, it is a pretty large influx of gold, and it'll definitely feel good. Even if you are in a position like that, making teams sort of like sweat for a little bit is always that.
Ooh, Seraphine will get that damage. It is still secure, but Braum does die to the burn.
Looks like that might
and the other two have to flee for their life.
Sivir ult used to get out as well. Yeah, it looks like the Scorch picked up the Udyr, not the Udyr, sorry, the Braum.
Yeah, runes do make a difference at times. You might not always notice Scorch when you're playing, but when you check those numbers after the game, you can see a lot of damage.
Gonna be honest, I did something very silly, which was try Kane top for a few games with Scorch, just try and get the passive early. It's terrible. My public service announcement is like, Kane top, just don't try it.
Kane top does feel really good, and if you get matchups like Sion, you definitely can just farm that R. You can just dodge his Q with your Q, and it just kind of lets you get a bunch of stacks really quickly.
Gonna be honest, I was up against a top Karma that went tank, so I ended up blue form, and I went like 1 and 10.
No, you fought a Karma. You don't get to play the game.
It didn't feel fun. It didn't feel like a game of League of Legends.
It's you just scale and fight her later on when you're more useful.
I don't think I was ever useful.
We do see, maps just kind of slow. Looks like they're positioning for a Baron. We've got Seraphine on the bot side.
Baron's already being started. It's a 20-minute Baron. They're hitting it.
Yeah, and they've got, placeholder's got their jungle bot side, so there's just no pressure on this Baron. It is freely taken for Caitlyn as she autos it over the wall, really showing that range advantage that character has.
I don't think they even realized it was going on. There was no pings towards it. No one even made the effort, unless they called to just give it. But yeah, there was no reaction whatsoever. There's possibly a pick on set here if Udyr can go around, but Vision being out.
Nothing want to be done with that Baron, not even looking to check if they're doing it, but definitely just hands it over free. But even then, like if they tried to fight it, it was very risky for them to go for. Especially with Seraphine pressuring the bot lane, you know, she had TP up, she could just rotate that fight.
This is going to be an incredibly oppressive siege, not just because of the gold lead, but look at the range advantage they've got on the top side here. The only way they're ever going to be able to get in is just by Sejuani throwing an ult out, and Udyr should be there to tank it.
Set flashes onto the Caitlyn, trying to do that W comes out, but is not aimed correctly. Set falls here. No damage really falling onto CBS. A valiant attempt to try to make something happen, but just nothing's able to be taken off that. And Baron's going to be pushing in both top and mid lane. Pick on Sejuani with the roots, all the abilities coming out. She is a tank, but again, she falls all to that burst. Jack's diving Sivir here at the bot lane.
God.
Flashes out. Syndra trying to pop him out with the ult. He barely lives. Ignite coming out. 1,000 shielding from Seraphine. Braum dying to the burn. This does look like the end of the game. Seraphine flashing for ult. Syndra getting out. But not much to do. 22 minutes, 21 and 4. A 15k gold lead. Not much to do. This is just the Caitlyn bot lane just got what they needed. Jack's got ahead. Almost every lane won, and you just saw the game get stomped out.
That is a painful loss if you are placeholder. That is a very painful loss to go through. It's yeah, especially in a best of series, it's incredibly demoralising to lose in such a faction. But we'll see what they pull out next game. I think the biggest mistake they had there was just drafting lanes that had absolutely no priority.
You know, definitely, even though, you know, Set's the comfort pick and you want to get your, you know, top laner, their best character, you definitely want to make sure that you don't show your hand too early.
We are just going to go with a small break, so I'll see you all in a bit.